Okay. Couple things came up over the break that to address, which is it's good. Good questions. One was about this Walmart thing. Okay. First of all, this is any of them: AT&T, Sprint, not T-Mobile, but T-Mobile does have the iPhone now, and you basically pay. The way they do it is you can buy the phone outright, or you can pay monthly on the phone as you go along, and they have pretty inexpensive service. T-Mobile used to be problematic with the older iPhones because they didn't have the same frequencies, but they have it. Virgin Mobile's a good alternative. Straight Talk is a great alternative at Walmart. And the thing is they kind of limit your data and some flexibility, but there's a lot of other players in the market now, so don't, here's the deal. If you're on Sprint, Verizon, or any of the other what's called MVNOs, people that use Sprint and Verizon for their service, you cannot be on the internet and make phone calls at the same time. And that's not a huge deal, but if you think about it, you're talking on the phone and you need to look up a website or something, it won't do that. And it's because they both go over the same CDMA circuit. In a year or two from now, that won't be an issue. Now, on AT&T, you just can't make any phone calls at all because there's no reception. So, and I'm an AT&T user, and it's gotten better, but they're going to transition to LTE, and T-Mobile's kind of iffy on their connection too, but that's not a huge deal. But I would say that if you're picking a new provider, Verizon is expensive and has the best coverage, and it only makes sense if you have 2 people or more on a plan, because as an individual, the data plans are expensive. So, those of you that are already on, if your provider is working real well for you, and there's occasional places where AT&T works and Verizon doesn't, but I'd say the other is probably more true. And again, I've been with AT&T since it was cellular, since it was Pac Bell Wireless, and even before the Cellular One days, So I'm a fool, but that's okay.
So you think this is a good deal?
If you're on an iPhone 4 or older, yes, it's a great deal. But remember, in the fall, the 5S will come out, probably, have some new whiz-bang features, and they'll be $199, and there might even be a less expensive iPhone. I just want to bring this up to people because I believe in Siri. Siri is the future, and Siri has changed my life remarkably. And she's my girlfriend, and I'll let you guys use her if you'd like. But as I put in my emails here, let's see. So Siri isn't perfect, but she's pretty darn good. I heard somebody's mail just go. Yes, I am. Thank you. So here's on the bottom of my emails. Sent for my iPad. Please excuse any mistakes that Siri might make. She's great, and she's my girlfriend, but she might not be perfect. So, yeah, that's a signature on the iPad, and I have my little icon of my person on my Mac one. But let's show you, because again, I think that I'll show you in a little bit on Siri, because that really makes this, I mean, especially on an iPhone, I have really fat fingers. It's only my fingers that are fat, of course, but anyway. And I've been able to type quite well, and it's amazing how well it does work on the iPad and on the iPhone. But it works even better if I can dictate to it. And I'm going to show that in a second, but I want to address, there was another question I said for somebody to bring up to me during the break. Yours was about the question came up here during the break is, if she goes and he has an iPhone, she doesn't have an iPhone, and so she wants to get an iPhone, so there'll be marital bliss, okay? So she asked, if I buy it at Walmart, will they transfer my contacts from my old, they call them feature phones, they don't call them dumb phones, over? Well, Walmart probably doesn't do that, but AT&T or Apple will do that for you at no charge. Well, but I didn't buy it at Apple. That's okay. You bought an Apple product, and Apple's still making money on that, and we all know how wonderful the Genius Bar really is. Yes, it's crowded. They're a victim of their own success. Make an appointment, go in, They'll transfer your numbers over for you just fine. And then they have classes at the Apple Store, and even Verizon's doing some classes now. AT&T probably not, but I mean it's just and there's anybody here have Android phone? Okay, good. You know what? I mean they're okay, but we're Mac users. We know better. We have iPhones, and actually there's some exploits. You know, the people on PCs have to worry about viruses. People on Androids have to be very worried about exploitation on the phones right now. There's these things going around out there that can really do it. But Apple, the phone, by the way, last week was the 6-year anniversary of the iPhone. The iPhone was introduced on my birthday, January 9th, 2007. And if you think about what was there before the iPhone, there was the Trios and the Blackberries. And trying to look on the internet was terrible. And the little things about the screen, when you hold it up here, it goes dark, and the proximity sensor and the accelerometer and all that was in the original iPhone. And now you look at everybody's copying what they did. And iOS 7 is going to take us the next, and Apple keeps refining it. I know and I agree that Apple should make a larger phone. The iPad mini for me is perfect for iPad size because my up-close vision is good, but that would be a little big for a phone. Hello? Michael Douglas in Wall Street, right? You know.
That's what they used to look like originally.
Yeah, the old brick phones. But I think that there's a need for a little larger phone. But you know, to be honest, what happens if we get an iWatch where there's a display here and we can talk to it? And again, for typing, we don't need a bigger phone because we have Siri. So it's a waiting game. The reason Apple does not make a bigger phone currently makes a lot of sense, and Apple's never been one to bow down to what the market says. But the idea is your thumb can span the full width of the phone. So that's why the phone isn't any wider than it is. Okay? It's so your thumb, because I have short thumbs. I'm not a one thumb person. I'm a two thumb or a finger person. But it's theoretically you could hit anywhere on the phone with your thumb, and that's the idea for why they haven't gone wider. Okay? Not saying they won't in the future. I don't know. But it kind of becomes ubiquitous. How many were here when we had the blind guy come up to the MacNexus meeting? So he uses Siri like crazy. And the new stuff coming out in iOS 7 for accessibility is incredible. But let's talk about how we can compose an email on our... Who here doesn't have Siri on at least one device? Okay. iPad mini, iPad 3, and iPad 4. Okay, do you want to see if you have Siri? Everybody grab your iOS device. And the home button is the large button in the middle, okay? Press and hold the large button in the middle. Press and hold it. And does it come up and say this? Oh, it doesn't show. But okay. But if it says you can't connect to the internet, it means you have Siri. You got voice control, so you have a 4, not a 4S. Press and hold the home button. The round button. Good. You got it.
She doesn't understand me half the time I talk to her. That's one of the problems.
We can change it to German. No, seriously. I have a friend that's got a pretty, she speaks English wonderfully, but she has a Spanish accent. And if we changed it to Spanish, she speaks it in Spanish. It's the accent. She's getting better. Okay, so for some reason we're not on the... All right. Let me quit Reflector here and pull it back up. All right. So, ooh, come on. Sorry guys, demo fail. I'm working on it, okay? Can't handle the pressure. All right. Little musical interlude there. I have to do it to myself because when Pete and I do Empower Mac and he's having demo fail, I always pull it up, so I have to do it to myself too. So, all right. So if you have Siri, now I realize if you're not connected to the internet, Siri's not going to work until maybe the fall. Now, how Siri work? Well, let's walk you through this because the majority of the people have something like this or will soon. So.
I'm sorry, could you really explain what this reflector program is?
Nope. Do you do demos a lot? It's really just it's a wonderful program that I found a little over a year ago, and we've got most of the instructors using it now, and it's a gem. I mean, because I can record. The hardest thing is to record what we're doing on the iPad for future use, and now I can display my iOS device right here on the screen. So it's just cool. It's like $14 or something, but it takes some tricks to get it to work. All right. So if I'm in Apple Mail, or I'm sorry, if I'm in iPad Mail, and I want to start a new message, I hit the upper right-hand corner. Now, Siri and dictation doesn't work too well with proper names. Okay. So up here, you would just hit somebody's name. I'll do Pete. P-E-T-E. There it is. I selected. Now, subject. Now, if you have a microphone by your keyboard, it might be grayed out because you don't have internet connection. But if you have a microphone, you can do this instead of typing. I'm just going to go down to the body here and watch what happens. I'm going to tap the microphone and wait for it to beep. Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. Period. New paragraph. Don't forget you must speak your quote, punctuation, close quote, period. New paragraph. If you'll notice the microphone, it shows you the level with which you're speaking, period. New line. This will type what I say, period. Now you simply hit the microphone and it will end. You'll notice the word, now it's not perfect. She's my girlfriend, I give her some slack. I mean, she has to put up with me. So, this will type what I say, you speak. You notice they have blue underlines. This is not Siri. This is speech to text. But there will be nothing that will ever come back misspelled, unlike when I usually type something because I'm typos. But, because she consults a dictionary before she sends it to you. But the little blue underline means when I press it, where the blue underline is, did I mean to say, speak it this or speaking this? And I can choose one of those because I may have mumbled. But let's talk about this a second. Now, it will record for up to 30 seconds. And when you hit done, it'll come back to you. After 30 seconds, it'll time out and send you what it's recorded up to that point. So you simply tap the microphone again and say, I could continue going, comma, for as long as you can stand it, period. New line, if you say the word new and the word line, you get a one carriage return, period, new line. If you say the word new and the word paragraph, you get double line spacing, period, new paragraph. If you want to say numbers like 1, like 6, like 12, it will type them out, period, new paragraph. If you say numeral 1, okay, she timed out. Oh, it's weird. It usually spells them out. So I'll fix that. New paragraph. 1 is the loneliest number. 5 is 4 past that. Period. New paragraph. Numeral 1 is the loneliest number. Numeral 3 is 2 past that. Period. New paragraph. So 1 is the loneliest number. 5 is 4 past. Oh, it didn't do it. It's supposed to be numeral 1 is the one. And I said numeral 3. Oh, I did.
Ken,
Yeah.
it's true. The first
Yeah.
of your sentence is always going to be written out. You won't put a number down.
It won't, unless you say, what if I, let's try it if I say numeral 1. Let's say
You just try to correct it.
numeral 1, period. New paragraph. Don't say number 1, say numeral 1, okay? Because number is something you would say in normal thought, normal talk. Now you notice I said paragraphs, I said new line, it's a single space. I said new paragraph, it's 2 spaces, okay? So I'm going to put in 2 more sentences here, and then we're going to show you Siri, and I'm going to do it from my iPhone for the noise. But if I hit, I'm drunk, new paragraph. Will I need a jacket tonight? Okay, so I think
Who would you like to call?
okay. Well, I'm going to do it on my on this one because it's you won't be able to hear it very well. Sorry, I'm turned up a little. So I'm going to go back into the main screen and say those same things. I'm drunk. So she.
I can't be your designated driver. You better find someone else.
So, she didn't just type I'm drunk. I did speech to text. I said I'm drunk, right? And instead of coming back and typing I'm drunk, she, with artificial intelligence, Siri said, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't drive. Would you like me to call you a taxi? Now that taxi is, what's that? Call me a taxi. That's actually geographically based taxi services nearby. So if I hit call me a taxi.
I found 13 cab companies fairly close to you.
Now, I think in the near future, it will be the GPS in the cab will show you the actual cabs that are closest to you. How cool would that be? So let's say, will I need a jacket today?
The low temperature will be 45 degrees.
I didn't say what's the low temperature going to be. She interpreted, I just said, will I need a jacket? So the low temperature will be 45 degrees. And I can do things like, now once she's up, I can tap the microphone here instead of the button, and I say, convert 45 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius.
Let me think. Okay, Ken, here you go.
Convert 65 US dollars to euros. You're traveling a foreign country. You can get an
Let
instant.
me check on that.
Okay? So let's go back and show you So I should say how this works is, remember the speech to text. What she
I
did is
found this.
she recorded what I said. She actually sent it out over the internet to the Apple large supercomputer in North Carolina, and she sent me back that text. What Siri did is, while I was in North Carolina, she says, "Oh, you mean this." So one is speech to text, which is literal, and the other one is derived in what she thinks it might be, and she's very good. And she has a bit of a personality, so.
Yeah.
What is the meaning of life?
I give up.
Is it possible to have too many Macintosh computers? I haven't tried this one.
Would you like me to search the
never
web?
mind. So anyway, she can search the web. So, but what I can do is, with Siri, I can say, didn't hold it long enough. Send Pete Losey an email.
Which email address for Pete Losey? Home, work, other, or other? What's
If I
the
just said
subject
Pete
of your
Losey.
email?
Just testing Siri.
What would you like your email to say?
Just testing Siri in my class. I won't really send this. I'll hit cancel. I'm not touching it.
Okay, Ken, here's your email message to Pete Losey. Are you ready to send it?
No, cancel.
Okay, I won't send this email.
So we just talked about how to make emails and stuff, but look at how easy Siri makes it for us. And we think Siri will be coming to the Mac, but let's go over to Mail and Mac. Now, how many here are running 10.8 Mountain Lion? Okay. That's the newest, 10.8. Some computers, and by the way, if your computer can do Mountain Lion, you can probably do Mavericks in the fall. So, if I go up here to New Message, as long as I have an internet connection, I double tap my function button. You double tap the function key, comma, on your Macintosh, comma, and it works the same as tapping that microphone, period. This allows you to dictate to your Mac anywhere you can type, comma, just like anywhere you can type on your iPad or iPhone, comma, it will type for you, period. Okay? If you have Mountain Lion, to initiate this, you find your function. If you have an Apple keyboard, you have a function key on it, FN it says, and you double tap it and that will turn on. It says, do you want to enable dictation? And you say, yeah, why have you been hiding it from me? And you just say okay, and it does it. And it really is nice, especially for me that does a lot of typos. Okay, so that's dictation. Now, I want to show you something here in Apple's Mail. Those of you that have, when you've upgraded to 10.7 and, well, 10.8 more particularly, your screen comes like this. All these wonderful, okay, we all know that our eyes pick up shapes and colors very well. You can differentiate very quick. So Apple really thought they'd be smart and make every icon look the same and make them gray. Because they're about usability, right? I think we're going to see some changes in that. But they don't even tease you with what those things say. So if you go up here to View, Customize Toolbar, and at the bottom say Icon and Text. By default, in Mountain Lion, they turned off Icon and Text. Why? It's not like you got to pay extra for the words underneath. So you click Icon and Text, and now they have them, and they show you what it is. And unfortunately, you have to do it on every screen, reply, forward, etc. But while we're there, let's look at this customized toolbar. I've added some things to my toolbar that are pretty cool. I have a little print logo up there, address book, add sender, in other words, add sender to there. I have, bigger and smaller, so you can do your fonts bigger and smaller. So all you do is, let's take I'm going to take them off the toolbar, bigger and smaller, right? So I just grab this, slide it up there, and let go, and like magic, it's up there. That's customized toolbar, okay? You should have now this is the default set right here. And if your mail bar ever gets screwed up, you just drag the whole thing up there and it puts it back to the default set. Okay, any questions on the toolbar, customized toolbar?
Where did you get the?
Okay, good question. So again, I go back to View, Customize Toolbar. Now, that's for my main screen. When I go to New Message, I have to do my toolbar there also. It's not throughout the whole thing. Each one's different. Because obviously on your main screen, you're going to print. On an outgoing mail, you're probably not going to print. You don't print your outgoing mail. Smaller, bigger is a good one to have there. Photo browser and stationery. Who uses photo browser or stationery on their mail? This is very, very cool. So, up in the upper right, I have photo browser and I have stationery. So, photo browser, you'll notice I don't have iPhoto running right here. It is not running. There's no white dot by it, right? But I can click on photo browser and it will load my photos without opening iPhoto, and I can take this sunset shot, and let's see, I have a little better one. Okay, I'm just going to take this sunset shot and drag it right there, and boom, there it is. I'm going to hit that to close it. But see, that's pretty big. So I go up here and say, just make it medium. There, now it's much smaller, right? You know, that's a real blurry one. So I don't like that one, so I'm going to go back to my photo browser. And this one's not very good either. And I just delete that one. Anyway, so I can drag my photos from my photo browser into here. And I can drag multiple ones in. But right here, I want to be cognizant of the size of the message. You shouldn't let it exceed 5 megabytes. It can go up to 10, but never let it exceed 10, because your email provider might let the 10 go out, the 20 go out, but the person on the other end might not be able to receive a message larger than 10. If they're going to print it, you can send a large photo, but there's other ways to send it. You can send them one at a time. This is simply for them to view it. So you want to adjust the size over here, and let's see what happens when I go actual size. There's how big it is. It's 2.3 megabytes. So I can go down and say medium. Go ahead.
I thought there was a limit on the number that you could send this way.
No, it's
My daughter just sent a message. She did it by going into iPhoto and just clicking the album.
That's an iPhoto class, and that's actually, did she use photo sharing?
She used sharing, and it's transferred 163 photos.
Uh-huh. But that's an iPhoto class. That's photo stream.
That's out of photo stream.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't through photo stream.
Okay, well that's an iPhoto class.
Okay.
So you can only email a few pictures, but this gives you more latitude because you can adjust the size of those pictures. Now, in a minute, we'll show you how to mail photos from your iOS device. But what I want to do is I want to get rid of this message, and I'm going to fire up another new message, and you guys are going to love stationery. So I can do photos, let's say. Here's a great photo stationery right here. So look at this. And see, it actually just pulled in stuff from my different photo things I have. So I can go back up to photo browser. There we go. Let's go to... Go ahead, Al.
Can you read your own stationery?
No. Well, there's some programs that, it's really, it's not easy, and it's not at all, no, it's not normal. Here we go. So I'm going to drag this photo right to there. Oops. Right to there. drag this photo to right there. And for a little variety, that one right there. So now, this has got fake stuff in it, but it's got my stuff for my signature. So I just click on this and say, photos. And then I can send this email. Now, you'll notice these photos are smaller, and that's how it's going to do it. It's going to send just those little photos in this stationery. Most people will be able to see the stationery as you send it. Some Windows machines won't, but most of them will. So that's stationery, and you can pick your favorites on stationery by simply taking, if you go down here and you like this bamboo stationery, you drag it up to favorites, and then it becomes one of your favorites also. But yeah, unfortunately, there are some stationery kits you can order, but doing new stationery in mail is a very... Karen Adams found a way to do it, but it was... It would have been easier to make it in Pages and then mail that. All right, so you simply fill out your mail. Now, we had a question earlier about if I have an email address, how do I get rid of it? So I'm going to go do a bad one. Let's say csa@me.com, okay? I don't even think this exists, okay? And I'll say XZX, all right? We know that's probably nobody's email, okay? So I fill this out and I go test. I hope it doesn't. So I hit send. Okay. Now, when I go to do a new message and I put what was it, CS? Notice this down here. It shows a previous recipient here. Because I mistyped it. There's the bing coming back saying that's undeliverable mail. Okay, that's no problem. But I want to get this, because every time I type CS, let's say I want to send it to this guy, C. Scott, but every time I put CS, that one comes down. Oh, good, it couldn't go. Never mind, I'll delete it. It didn't like it. So anyway. So now what I have to do is I click on that mail, and then I go here and click on this and say, remove from previous recipients list. If it's in your address book, it won't say previous recipients, it'll say remove from contacts, okay? So I'm going to remove from previous recipients. Now when I type CS, it's not an option, you'll notice. That CSA, XCX, whatever, isn't an option. The other thing you can do is you can go up to the word window and come down here to previous recipients. This is a list you don't need to manage, but if you have one that's persistently screwing up and you keep typing it in, manage it under your previous recipients list. Now, in your previous recipients list, you'll notice right over here, that indicates they're in your contacts, or what used to be called address book, the little card.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Can you do a scan for all of those contacts for, for incoming mail? Just those.
For income, this isn't for income, this is for outgoing.
I know.
But I don't understand the question, I'm sorry.
Well, if you get gobs of emails and you just want to check to see if your contacts have sent you something.
Okay, there's a rule for that, and I'll go into that in a minute. That's a great one. That's a good point. I wasn't going to go into rules, but we can.
In other words, I want to scan for just those guys or anything that's in my contact book.
Okay, watch this. So everybody's got this about previous recipients. To me, that's like, hoorah, that's a big deal.
Where did you get the window that you just had?
Go up to Window, Previous Recipients.
The second, the one that had all their full names down. That one.
Window, Previous Recipients.
That was the same one?
Yeah, and then what it is you'll notice, see this like the Craigslist one, that one it's sent to somebody. I don't have that in my address book. George isn't in my address book. This one for Ronald Anderson isn't in my address book. This one for Richard isn't in my address book. So it shows you whether it's in the address book or not. And you can go through here and remove them from the list, even if it is one that has the card on it, okay? Just like photos peers into your iPhoto library, this peers into your address book. But let's talk about this situation where, because again, with spam coming more and more, you do have a way to set rules. So if I go to Mail, down to Preferences, and you go over here to the far left to Rules. And I actually have one that's interesting here. I've been constantly getting emails from different things. They look, and it's always from this .me.cc. So I made a rule that anything that comes there, it immediately deletes it. So I never see them in there. I was getting really aggravated by it. But let's go over here and let's add a rule. So rule is, we'll call this test. If any of the following conditions are met, or if all of the following conditions are met, if the from, let's see here, sender is in my contacts or not in my contacts. This is your question right here. So what a rule is, and we think that these are going to propagate over to iOS devices in iOS 7. But this would say, I can make a rule that if someone is not in my contacts, send it to, and you could make up a folder. You could say possible spam or something like that. I could say, sender is not in my contacts, move it to my not in contacts folder. And then you could view it if you want, which would leave your inbox with persons that are in your contacts folder, which I prefer over saying, if they're in my contacts, move them to the folder, because the problem is you're going to keep looking in your inbox and all those people that are in your contacts aren't going to be in the inbox. So does this make sense how to do this? You can do plenty of different things. Message content, like it always says blue pills, let's say. You could say anything that says blue pills, send it to the trash, delete it, do whatever you want, and you can set up different rules for your mailbox. And this is how you become, you manage your email, and you just can work so much better with it, but it takes a little bit of time.
So it's like you're creating your own filter.
Correct. Perfect. It is a filter, yes. And it's a filter, and it can do anything. It can delete it, or it can just say, if anytime I get this particular mail, move it to this folder. And then it's in that folder for you. But remember, it's not going to show up in your inbox, because the first thing it does is go there. And you would never want to make a rule that keep it in my inbox and move it here, but you can do whatever you want. Same thing to like what the junk folder does.
So you can't send it to different mailbox,
Well, let's check. I think you can.
because you could do that instead of going to any website.
Hang on here. Yeah, well, he said return to sender. You don't want to bounce mails, because then they verify that it's a a real email address. So let's say if its subject is this. Here we go. Copy message, send notification, reply to message. So there are ways to do it. If it's a certain mail, you could forward it to somewhere else. But there's a way to do that, like we're going to talk about that in a minute, is if you have a Yahoo, you can tell Yahoo to forward it to your new Gmail account within there. That way you never, otherwise you're going to get it twice.
That's what I'm thinking, is we have so many directions on so many websites. If you have 4 dozen websites that are using a particular address, then you could do it, set it up here so that you could be sure they go in your spam address.
Right. And that spans the more, so like, let's say, Club Orchard, for instance. So if the most important is, if you're going to make a rule, click on the mail you want to make the rule with first, because it will get slightly intuitive when you go to make that rule, and you go to Preferences, Rules, Add Rule, and you'll notice, let's see, it already filled out Club Orchard, because I was on that email. Because the other thing is you might make typos. So this is how you can manage it, and believe it or not, you can have multiple rules. If this happens, do this. If this happens, do that. And you can, but the problem is you don't want to make rules so restrictive that then you got 18 different boxes and you got all this. It's really only to manage. That thing was a pest to me, that .me.cc. So I just said anything that comes from .me.cc, delete immediately. I don't need it. There's nobody I know that would send me mail to that address. Al?
It's not finite number of rules you can create
I think you can stack them.
on and on and on.
Yeah, I believe that you can go. There might be a limit, but we got to remember every rule is either inclusive or exclusive, and the very first rule says if any of the following conditions are met, or all of the following conditions are met, and there's a big difference between those. If you have 4 rules and you say any of those, do this, or if you say all of those, that's only going to be a specific email. So this kind of it's almost like you're doing the old type of programming, if then this and if that not, and true or false, etc. But it can be very powerful, and it's quite good. It really is, and believe me, it works. It works really well. In fact, here's Apple's. Oops. Yeah. So this is the rule that comes in from your Apple RSS feed. This is the one they build in with it with all these different things. It's if it comes from this, and this, set color of background to other. So you can do, that's the other thing. You can just make your email, it comes in, you can say, if I get an email from so-and-so, make those all show up in red. That's pretty handy. And it's still in your inbox, you haven't moved it, you haven't created any weird workflows, but it sure gets your attention. And like I said, remember we see colors and shapes better than we do anything else. All right. So without further ado, I want to go into Gmail first and show you some of the bonuses you get with your free Gmail account. Oh, hang on, I promised. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to pick a photo in my iOS device. And, oh, here's a good one. That was the Costco parking lot a week ago. Oh, the Costco parking lot had been sitting in the sun at 3:30 in the afternoon before the big heat wave, and that was the outside temperature right there. So, of course, I want to send this to people that are in cool climates right now. So I tapped the photo. Now, on the iOS device and even on in our iPhone, the perimeter goes away a lot of oh, you know what? It doesn't show up on here. You have to tap the screen to make the menus come up. Let's see if this will come up when I do this. Ah, dang it. Trust me on this. What happens is iPhoto is something unique in that our photos on your iOS device shows the screen, but it figures if we're in photos, you're trying to show people your photos. So it doesn't show my screen. So I simply tap the screen. I hit the little action arrow, which I can show you what the action arrow looks like. So if I go to, for instance, Safari, and you have this little action arrow, the box with the arrow, and I can click Mail. That would be the same thing in Photos. You tap the photo, and then hit Email, and when you hit Email, a little screen comes up and it asks you to address it. That photo would be attached to that email. I forgot, that's one problem. It's not a reflector problem, it's an iPad problem. That normally you would just want to show your photo so it does it without this little stuff. So you'd simply address it. So that's the same thing with Safari. If I want to send somebody a web page, like if I wanted to send you the link to the ink on Amazon or something like that, I would go here. And no, I don't use Siri to, I could probably say go to kenspencer.com, but it's a little quicker to put it in. I'm going to show you, while that's loading, I'm going to go over to Safari on my Mac, and let's say I wanted to email somebody this page. I go up here to the little action arrow, right here, click on it, and say share, email this page, and when I click on that, there's the link to that page. Something new in Mountain Lion, over on the right-hand side, I can say send a PDF of the web page. A PDF would be great because they see it. But the cool thing is if I send a copy of the web page, there's the web page. And it's all live links. Okay?
So it's like they're going to the website themselves.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, so you send them, it's a snapshot of the website then, but all the links are clickable. And if we go to Safari, for instance, because this is really kind of a critical thing, let's say we go here and we go to CNN.com. Now, if I send somebody just a link to CNN, the headline changes all the time, right? So I could say, let's say I'm in favor of Snowden, and I said, oh, isn't this great? And I say, okay, share this page as a link. And I say, wow, great news. I'm not trying to play the, I don't care here. I'm just to illustrate. Great news, okay? So I send that. And you get that mail, and you're out for the day, and you get back. And you come back here, and it says, 3 child molesters loose in Sacramento. And you said, wow, isn't that great news? They click on CNN.com. Okay. Blame it on Siri if you want to. But what you would do in that case, you would send not just the link, you'd send a copy of the web page. Okay? If you particularly want to send this particular thing, if you click on it, once you get down to the article itself, then you can send just the link. But don't just send the front page, okay? Because the front page on most of these news websites changes all the time. So, hang on one sec.
If you do the PDF, does that make
If you do the good question. So if I do the PDF, I'm just turning off my phone because it's going to wear the battery out. If you send the PDF, it sends it as a snapshot of it, and sometimes those links are clickable. Okay. So that's from there. On your iPad, we'll go switch to the iPad, and same for the iPhone. If I want to send somebody this link, I click on it, and I click on Mail, and then it fires it up, and it's almost always a link. Okay? And in this case, remember the rule of thumb, if you're going to send them the Snowden article, click on the article, and then go to that. Okay? So you would just fill this out and hit send. And it sends a link. Okay? Delete draft. All right. So now I'm going to go, oops, don't want reader, first quit. We're going to go into gmail.com. And I'm going to do it. So I'm going to show you how to sign up for a Gmail account. Now, who doesn't have a Gmail account? Okay. Actually, you know what? Better on that, I'll just kind of touch on it, but then we're going to talk about once you get the account how to do it, because it's very simple to sign up. But I'm going to go in. This is one of my Gmail accounts I use. Yes. The question is, do I have more than one Gmail account? I have 5. Well, because I'm a hoarder. No. It's a great example. Why do I have 5? My first one and my most cherished one is the one that I got. I got a lot of these when Gmail was still invite only, so I said, oh, they're free. I better go grab a bunch, right? They might go away. They might run out of email addresses. So I went and I got kenspencer@gmail.com. But I never give that anywhere because I want to keep that as a protected kind of sacred one that I don't have to worry about spam and stuff. Then at the same time, I said, well, I want to get as short a one as I can. So I also got kspenc@gmail.com, and that's as short as you can get. It's 6 characters. Yeah, 6 characters is the shortest you can get. Good luck getting any 6-character Gmails anymore. So those are my 2, and I kind of use them for different things. I made a 3rd Gmail address called klinks, and that way I could, before we had the new Safari where you can do reading list on your bookmarks, I would send that account stuff I wanted to use as reference material. I do a tremendous amount of reading on all the different Mac websites and stuff, and if I see an article that I go, you know what, at some point I'm going to need that information. I've got it right now, but that's volatile. So I send that as reference to my Klinks account. I send my PDF of my tax returns to my Klinks account. I send Excel spreadsheets that I might need somewhere else to my Klinks account. I use that as storage. of information and of documents that I might need, and that's just up there. I just use that one. Go ahead.
Could you use something like Dropbox for that?
This is before Dropbox.
Okay.
But also there's some volatility with Dropbox because if you delete it on the computer, it deletes it from Dropbox. When I send it my Gmail account, it's there forever. Okay? Now, the other one I have is nosken@gmail.com. Again, it's short. But I also made sure the letter started with a different letter than my other one because when it does autofill, I didn't want to have it be another K, so I did, it's NOS, no spam Ken. I made NOSKEN, and that's my throwaway email address. That's the one I use on everything. I use it with impunity. I don't care what happens to it. And ironically, again, I probably get the least amount of spam in it than anything. I also had a business where I did a special project with Orchard Supply Hardware. So that's that AHA Gmail, AHA Gmail. My company name is AHA, and so I use that as my Gmail address for all the communications with them. So those are the ones I use for the most part. And they all have different purposes. I can choose to have mail on both my devices check all of them or check none of them. That's my option. But if I use Apple Mail, I can have them all right there, and if I click on inbox, it brings in all of them and I can see them. And I can respond, reply, do whatever I want. I never check the K-Links one, that's storage. I send it to myself, so I don't need to see what's up there, right? The NOS Ken is one I probably get the most amount of email for because that's the one I give out a lot. And if it ever got corrupted or polluted, I would move on and get a different email address. But the best thing is I have those forever. Google's not going away. They're very, very profitable. They're not going to get rid of Gmail because Gmail and search is where they make the most of their money. Now, when you use Gmail on your computer, you don't see the ads. And they don't sell your email address. But if you go to Gmail Online and I click on, let's say this mail, here's a Jamba Juice ad. So I'm going to click on it. First of all, you notice here's an ad. Those of you on, well, we'll go to a Yahoo page in a minute and see how obtrusive the Yahoo ads are. Well, you know what? I can kind of handle that ad. That's not too bad. But I don't see that when I go to mail. In fact, that's a pretty good deal for domain names. You can go get your own domain name for $2.99 for $2.96 for the first year. Oh, with free hosting. Can't beat it. I have kenspencer.com. I'm glad I got it because I could never get it if I didn't. So now, I click on Jamba Juice. Now, you'll notice here's finally I get an ad over here. Okay, so what? That's how Google can give you all these things for free. That doesn't get in my way. I put these little blinders on, I don't see them, right? It's no big deal. But occasionally, like when you do a Google search, those ads may be very pertinent to what you're trying to do. Now, I feel bad that I'm getting AARP ads, but yes, I'm 57, so I guess they somehow know that. No. Actually, when you do sign up for Google, they ask for your birthday and year because they want to make sure you're over 13 or 18 or whatever it is. So you could be 29. That's fine. You'll notice here I can say, let's see, show images. Show images. Always display images below. They try to do, Google's nice, they do that so that you don't burden, if you have a really slow internet connection, they didn't download the images because the text takes up no bandwidth, pictures take a little bit. So that was just an option. So anyway, this happens to be Google Offers, which I signed up for, but this is as bad as the ads get. But with Gmail, I also have, first of all, I can do Google Maps. By the way, Apple Maps will be on Mavericks. You won't have to use Google Maps anymore. Google Maps used to be fantastic, and they've just changed it, and I hate it. Google Play is a music service, a streaming music service. Don't do it. iTunes in the fall will give you any song you want to hear on any device, like Pandora, with ads, and you get to hear anything you want. But if you want to go ad-free, you pay $24.99 a year, and then you get this thing called iTunes Match, where all your music gets moved up to the cloud and all this other cool stuff. So Pandora is unfortunately going to go by the wayside. I mean, they're still going to be there, but it's really, really good. What?
I like Pandora. Why?
Well, you can use either. No, Pandora will become less critical because iTunes will be so convenient. No, so convenient. See, and it's a tough model because Pandora has to pay if you skip the song even.
So they tell me.
Pandora has to pay. That's why you only get 5. You only get 5 skips or something like that because the stupid music companies say, well, if you skip a song, you got to pay us anyway. Make a better song, we wouldn't skip it. Okay, that's kind of the way it would be. But in Apple, what they did is they made an agreement that as long as you don't listen to over 20 seconds or something, they don't have to pay for the skip. So I'm sure Pandora will hopefully be able to get that same deal because Pandora is very nice and there's nothing against Pandora, but it really is just Apple will leverage it with some ads and they'll support theirs with ads. But for $24, $25 a year, you can have it completely ad-free. Back to up on top. YouTube, that you can get anyway. News, you can get, by the way, you can set up news protocols. Like my brother used to be the district attorney for Merced County, so I did a Google News thing that would let me know whenever the name, in quotes, Gordon Spencer and Merced came up, it would send me any news that happened so I could keep on top of what was going on down there. And you can set that up in news alerts, but you need to have a Google account for that. Google Calendar you can use. I frankly think Apple Calendar is better. Drive. Now, Drive is 15 gigabytes of free storage on your computer, very similar to Dropbox. But the big thing with Drive is you can store your documents here. You can make a word processing document. You can make a spreadsheet. You can make a presentation. Yes, it's not as good as Pages, which we're going to have iWork on the cloud. How many here are iWork users, Pages, Keynote? You guys missing the boat. You're making any documents, you need Pages, Keynote, Numbers, and then you're going to be able to do it like this on the cloud. But the thing I like about Google Drive is I can open any word processing document here and work on it and send it back. So Google Accounts also gives you Google Drive, okay?
Did you say 15 gigabytes?
15 gigabytes you get for Google Drive. I have one client who has an iTunes library that's 125 gigabytes. He has too many songs. He has 29,000 songs, which is too much for iTunes Match. And so what we actually did is set up a Google Drive account so he can share, anytime he adds songs to his iMac, it shows up on his MacBook Pro. And he paid $10 a month to have 200 gigabytes of space. It's pretty amazing.
Ken?
Yes.
I wasn't here when you started about this. So this is if you sign up for Gmail account, all of this is available?
It's free. It's included.
This is included.
Yeah, with your Gmail account. And again, it's all kind of there. It's all funded because Google makes a lot of money on their ads. But let's go to the Gmail account because we want to talk about that a second.
Can you click on Excel? How good Excel? I've been using Excel.
Excel.
Didn't you say it was on?
It will open Excel kind of spreadsheets, but let's not. That's a wormhole. We would kind of.
Okay.
I'll do a screen share with you and do it because that could get us. We could get in the Excel hole.
Okay.
It can. You can open and save Excel documents in Google Drive. So, important things in Gmail. When you get Gmail configured, unfortunately I have this blue background on this account. Let me go to one of my other accounts. That might be better. Yeah. Where's my other account? Oh, that's weird. Well, I thought I had, it's in Chrome. I have it set up for 2 accounts. All right, so here's how it usually is. But what's important when you get your Gmail account is go down here where it says More. Okay, and you click on More, and you go to find Spam. Now, nobody likes spam, but what we need to do is click and hold and drag spam up to here so we can check it occasionally, because I told you that Gmail has the best spam filter in the world. Unfortunately, by having the best filter, it sometimes creates false positives. And a false positive would mean that, hey, I sent you that email. Oh, I didn't get it. Where is it? Unfortunately, it may filter out some good ones, but what you do is, And believe me, I mean, you can see, it only keeps them in the spam folder for 30 days, so they'll go through. You don't have to delete anything that's in your spam folder. It's going to disappear after it's been there 30 days. But if I found something in here that was, and I probably won't find anything. See, this Facebook one, that's fake. Match.com, that's a fake one. All right, so anyway, let's just say I say click on Medicare info. It says it thinks it's in spam. If this were a false positive, I would go up here and say not spam. And it will learn that it's not spam. It's kind of like setting a rule, okay? Which, by the way, Gmail has a full feature set of rules you can set before it even comes to your inbox. But make sure you can get to check your spam folder. Now, I'm going to go into my iPad. In the iPad, you can check your spam folder, but you can't tell it it's spam or not spam. So if I go to cancel, and I go to mailboxes, and I go down to my Gmail account, and if I scroll all the way down here, oh, and that one won't have any spam in it because I've never used it. So there it is. Your spam's right there, so you can check it. But you can delete it from there, but you can't then say, hey, this is a false positive. At that point, you would have to log into your Mac. Or there's Gmail apps for your iPhone to look at Gmail also, or your iPad. Go ahead.
It has in mail, if you're looking at your email account in mail, then you can do junk or not junk.
Correct. Big difference. Okay? I'm glad you asked that. So do we have the spam thing? Make sure you check your spam. And not only for the first couple months because you might get some false positives. I just want to caution you that you might get false positives on that. So check it. Tell it it's not spam if it's somebody you don't want. It does a great job of filtering spam. Let's look at my spam folder. And this is an account I rarely use. I have 309 messages, 310 messages in there in only the last 30 days. Let's change to one of my other accounts. We're real curious how my NOS Ken one is. So I signed out. I'm going to sign back in. Autofills. Excuse me. Wow, our internet's a little tough. Okay, any questions while I'm doing that? Go ahead.
I'm going to come up with this screen today with the
Oh, it's in your settings. You can set the screen behind it. And I'm not one to customize a lot of things, but what I did is, so I knew which account I was on. I can physically say, oh, that's the ocean scene, that's that other account. So I know if I'm flopping back and forth, excuse me, which one I'm looking at, because you'll notice here when the screen loads, when the internet finally catches up, it will have a different background. And that was only so I could differentiate on first glance which email account I'm in. First here?
You mentioned that there are apps for Gmail.
Uh-huh.
What's the advantage of getting an app as opposed to just going through the mail? I have it. And I haven't.
Yeah, there's the Gmail app is kind of neat because it can show things. But actually, if you have a Gmail account and you want a fantastic email program, it's called Mailbox for your iPhone and iPad, and it's fantastic. You swipe through things. iOS 7 is going to kind of do the same thing. Oh, okay. Oh, I was logged in on a different one, so it had to. That's what it was doing. It showed I was logged into this other account. But anyway, Mailbox. I think it's free. They had a waiting list because they didn't want to overwhelm the servers, but I just use Apple Mail the most time. But again, Mailbox is fantastic, or Gmail has their own app to check your mail on your device. But I like Apple Mail because I have a Mac address, an iCloud address, and I have my Gmail. So that way they're all there, because otherwise I'm likely to miss it. But just for you guys, I have tested out that other one. Okay, so my background didn't load. Anyway, so we'll notice, yeah, this one only has 314 spam messages. Which account is this? Yeah, this is a different account. Okay. So I have a total of 30,087 messages. And if I scroll to the bottom, I'm only using 14% of my total. Oh, I'm up to 15 gigabytes. That's right, because Drive now is, you used to get 10 for that and 5. You get an aggregate of 15 gigabytes split between Mail and Google Drive. So I'm only using 2.2 gigabytes or 14%, and I have a lot of Mail in here. Yes?
How often do you go through and take the cookies off?
Cookies? I like cookies. Anybody have any cookies? I'm on a low-carb diet. Don't give me any, please.
If you get all this, can't you just go through and clean out all the cookies and make that better?
Cookies don't, no, cookies don't affect this.
You know?
No. Cookies are little breadcrumbs you leave for other sites to follow your stuff, and I'm not too worried about those because the default setting in Safari is only cookies that come from websites you visit. Yeah, cookies are...
So this is random stuff.
Oh, the spam?
Yeah.
Oh, here's my spam. That's, yeah, that's pretty random. Dish promotions. I mean, they all look like they're system administrators. Software updates, Safari available. System administrators wouldn't send that. Wow, this is interesting. The following software is available for your server. John's iMac Local. But look who it's from. John's-iMac.local. Root. Didn't look like it come from Apple. That's why I went to spam. So I don't know why it's funny how they're targeting a Mac on that, but if it was a PC, I'd be really worried if I'd clicked on that.
What are the little boxes on the side?
Okay, good question. The boxes on the side, this is in spam, so I don't mind. Oh, no, it's not. Let's go to spam. So if I click on this box and click on this box and click on this one, I can delete forever or tell it it's not spam. So what I do is I'm selecting the message, and then I have to tell it what do I want to do with it. Okay? That all being said, you're very rarely going to be in this interface. Okay? Now, some of you are on Yahoo, and what we want to do is we want to set up forwarding from your, I have an account called Phone. So when the iPhone first came out, you got a free Yahoo account that does do IMAP, and mine's called Phone Ken was that email. So, I mean, oh, and let's see if I still remember my password. Yes, I think so. Look at all this, oh, ooh. Let's try that. Ken's in Password Hell. Please save me. That's what's going to happen next. Uh-oh. Well, let's try my other one that I do know. Damn, I signed out of it. Okay, so this is an old zip code of mine, which actually works pretty well usually if you're trying to get into things. Never lose my account. Now, this is that two-factor authentication. So I'm going to enter my cell phone number. So if I can't retrieve my password by email, they'll send me a little message. So this is kind of apropos that I got in here in this. So now I'm signing into this. I never use this account. This was a chat account for me for Yahoo Chat, but also this is one I'm on some Yahoo message boards like the San Jose Sharks. Okay. Save and continue. See, you gotta love Yahoo. Save and continue. Oh, why does it say Argentina? Jeez. Why would it default? It consents where you're signing in from, so why wouldn't it do that? Jeez. No. You know, it's funny why I don't like Yahoo. I'll just say remind me later because it's not like I would like to have two-factor authentication turned on. Oh, no, I don't want my public profile. It's pretty wide. So if I go to Mail, We're finally there. Your Yahoo account information is changed. Okay, blah, blah. So luckily I'm not getting a lot of spam there. But look at all this crap. Look at this over here. This is slowing down the computer. I have a really fast computer and it still makes the fan spin and everything else. But what I want to do is I want to show you what I can do is, I don't know if it'll let me. If I go up here to Mail Options, is it in Account Info? Disposable addresses, by the way, this is a really cool thing. You can set up little aliases in there. But I want to... hang on here. God, I hate being in here. I feel like I need to go take a shower afterwards.
And it's, where that last screen is, it said all your email in one place.
Yeah, but that's different. That's to have it check. So let me look here real quick. Sending messages, advanced settings. So you would think it was in this POP and forwarding? With POP and forwarding, but I think you have to have a Plus account. See, they don't want you to do it because then they won't see your eyeballs. So what we did is we set up it on Gmail so it can do it, but I'm just trying to... You know what? I will put links in kenspencer.com for this because they've changed it. I did this a month ago and it worked perfectly. So...
Do you have the automatic erasure of the stuff that's in the cloud, the mail, or do you save it at all?
I let it say saved.
When it's up in the cloud, before it comes down onto the computer?
Yep, I let it save up there. Robert, this is your reminder on...
Okay.
You know, I will check on it, but all I can say is those of you they're still using Yahoo, you need to, God, there's got to be. I'm going to look at this if you guys, behavior, automatic once a month. Wow. POP and forwarding. Yahoo Plus, they want you to pay $19.99 a year to get, those of you, now see, this is a free, this one, you know, if you have SBC Global, I think you can forward it from within there. So if somebody has that, an SBC Global account, you can check, because you should be able to do it from there, because you essentially are Yahoo Plus.
Okay, so what are you doing? What are you trying to
Well, what we want to do is we want to forward your email address to your new Gmail account. So you don't have to deal with Yahoo anymore. What happens is you have to send it to your Gmail, and then Gmail will receive it. Gmail will let you forward. Yahoo, you know, I'm trying to think if I have, let me try, I'll try, I'm going to try a SBC Yahoo account here, and let me see if this one's still active. My dad's old one. CFO at... Oh man, my dad that passed away 6 years ago has an SBC Global. Let's see if that does it. No. God, they make you switch. There's no way to not switch. So let's see. I can't believe this is still working. No emails in his inbox.
What you're trying to do is that every time you get mail into your...
If it comes to SBC, I want to redirect it. I'm in an SBC account. And if you'll notice here, forward AT&T.net email to another email address. And it was sent to my dad's Gmail account. And I can do store it here and forward. There'd be no sense of that because you'd run out of space. Store and forward and mark as read, or forward only. So where this is, and luckily I hadn't stopped the recording yet, those that left can refer to the last part of the recording. Make them suffer through the whole thing. So if I'm in mail, I'm going to go right to my inbox first. So if you're in your inbox, and you go up here to the little... Wow. Okay. I would trust him, would you?
Are you just not getting emails in your inbox? Is that
No, this is my dad's email address and so my late father's email address, but everything is forwarded to a Gmail. So that's why it's not showing there's anything in the inbox. But what we're going to show you is how, from this point forward, you'll never have to check Yahoo again because it would be sent to another account and then deleted from here. So you go up here into the gray gear and come down to Mail Options, MAIL, and click on POP and forwarding. I clicked off and then here. And then you say forward my att.mail to another email address, and you fill in where you want it sent to and say forward only, which means it will bypass this box and go to there. And you'll never have to deal with Yahoo again. But I still encourage you to start using your Gmail as your outgoing address, because that's what you want to get away from. And it's not just Yahoo, it's the same with Comcast. And the reason you want Comcast to do it to Gmail is because we can check it with our multiple devices. And same with SureWest, same with these others. And that way you're developing yourself to become not dependent on your internet provider for your email. Bart, you had a question?
Oh, you kind of.
I anticipated it. All right. I can stop recording. Any other questions before I stop recording? Yes.
Can you store photos to share on that drive?
Yeah, Google Drive is essentially a folder on your computer. In fact, there's so many of these now. Dropbox does it, but Google Drive, you simply would drag your photos over to it, and then from there, instead of emailing them, you can share those photos with somebody else. It's just another folder on your computer, and it's the same thing as taking a thumb drive and giving it to them. And they don't have to have a Google Drive account, but it's just like Dropbox. Dropbox does the best job of it, but Dropbox gives you 2 gigabytes for free. Google gives you 15.